Shawn right here with David Baye at the conclusion of the 2015 New York Pro Championships in New Jersey, and we've got a new king of New York in Juan Morel.
Yeah, Juan, as we've said before, 4th place, 3rd place, 2nd place, comes here in 2015. A very close show between he and Victor. I don't think I've ever seen another professional or amateur competition where the judges have put the guys through that many rounds of judging. So, you know, head judge and the president of the NPC and IFBB, Jim Mannion, was at the helm today. He made these guys work. Juan comes out as the winner. I don't think you're going to hear any complaints from anybody.
I got to tell you, Juan, humble in victory, came up the hard way. He had to pay his dues, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, all the way to 1st place. And Victor, humble in defeat. I mean, he realizes how good Juan Morel actually is, and Juan is going to have a rubber match with Victor, and Victor will have a chance at redemption and a shot at winning his 3rd Arnold Classic title in 3 different countries. Victor, a 2007 Arnold Classic champion, he won the Madrid,
right,
Spain Arnold Europe Championships. Now he's going down there to go to Brazil, but he's got to go through Juan Morel. What's Victor going to have to do to find victory?
Well, Victor's also going to have to go through Ramy down in Brazil. Okay. So he's going to have to be a little bit tighter. I mean, his structure and his physique and everything, he looked pretty good today. Legs are downsized from where he was at his peak in 2007. But I thought it was a really good version of Victor. That being said, he does have Juan also going to Brazil, as far as I know, and Ramy. So Victor's going to really have to be 100%, and Ramy's going to have to be a little bit off for Victor to sneak into that winner's circle in Brazil.
We've seen Victor beat Ramy before, not to mention Victor's a cagey veteran. He knows about travel overseas, whereas Juan Morel may still be trying to figure it out with a pregnant wife at home. That's going to be an interesting rubber match. Rounding out the top 5, I mean, really, this was a 2-man show from start finish to the end, and there were some other bodies thrown on the stage. Mad Max Charles winds up in 3rd place. Not a whole lot of hoopla there. That sounded like a solid decision. One of the guys that was noticeably missing from the top 5 was a guy that you were highly touting in Alexander Fedorov, who I also thought had made leaps and bounds from the comeback where he started, but tonight wasn't his night to be in the top 5. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting call. I don't know if it's just a case of, the judges are finally, taking it. Well, yeah. I don't want to say taking notice, but it's been the big conversation, the wide waist, and Alex doesn't really have a gut per se, like we've talked about. His front relax shot, his waist is very wide, and with his pec issues, his front relax shot is by far his worst. He seems to hunch over a little. I think he might benefit from flaring back, hiding that pec issue, but he's got to bring his waist in. Now, on the flip side of that, Henry Ano from Canada, structurally, you throwback guys are going to absolutely love this guy. I mean, his structure it's classic. His lines flow really well. I would like to see him a little bit bigger, but with that sometimes will come the stomach and everything else, and maybe he'll lose that. Greg Antonia looked good for Greg. I'm not crazy about Greg's physique. He wasn't quite as sharp as we've seen him in the past, probably not as full, but for him, it was a good version. But again, I was a little bit surprised. Alex is as big as a house.
So I think you named enough reasons why Alex wasn't in the top 5. So he's got to fix those issues, and he would probably wind up in the top 5. Certainly shouldn't go retire. He's on the way back.
Yeah.
That said, one guy that kind of came in and did exactly what you said at prejudging, Guy Cisternino walks off in victory. I actually thought he was going to lose out to the Korean, Kim Jun Ho, on a lack of detail. I say that because I've seen Guy a lot more crisp. He might have been a little bit bigger, but he wasn't as crisp, whereas Kim was very tight, but probably short on the size.
Yeah, I've seen a couple different versions of Guy, and to me, the leanest and sharpest version I saw of Guy was the 2013 Chicago Pro. I mean, he was as dry gets. Actually lost that show to Tricky Jackson. He's come in a little bit fuller, sacrifices a little bit of that dryness, but he's a bigger bodybuilder. Now, Kim Jun Ho, to me, looked absolutely fantastic. I mean, this is a complete bodybuilder from head to toe. He's only around 100, 175 pounds, though. So when he stands by himself, I can definitely see your point. Hey, this guy could give Guy for a run for money. Guy's got him by about 40 pounds, though. So when you put them together, you really start noticing that size difference. But I think the fans and myself and everybody that follows bodybuilding is going to be really excited about this Korean.
Well, you know what was great about this competition regarding the bodybuilding is that this was not an open and shut case from beginning to end. In both divisions, this was a nail biter down to the finish. The rightful people won, and no one booed. Amazingly, how about the women? You predicted that Latoya Watts from Las Vegas was going to come in here and win this thing, and I'll be damned if she didn't.
Yeah, I mean, Latoya is one of my favorite figure competitors, hands down. I would argue that she's a favorite for the Miss Olympia. She's almost too cartoonish. I don't know if that's even I don't even know if that's even a thing. But her waist is so small. She's got such a good V taper. She was the front runner here as far as where everybody had placed at the Olympia, and no surprise to me or anybody else. I think that Latoya won. Bikini, again, no surprise. India Paulina taking first place, and you had Stephanie Maho and Courtney King in second and third.
Good top three right there, man. That was solid.
It was, and there were some of the guys on the boards were looking at the call-outs and being like, look at this bikini third call-out. I mean, it looks as good as the first. And I'll tell you what, guys, the pictures that you're seeing online are a pretty fair representation of what we saw here today. Shawn and I were talking about that earlier. Mm-hmm. The third call-out for bikini, all the way down to the last call-out, everything, was all really good. So as we had spoken about earlier, despite some people being a little bit disappointed with some of the guy lineups, the women here were fantastic from top to bottom.
I was like, whoa, wait a minute. So what color bikini do I like? Because the physiques, I mean, they were so close. In the men's physique division, what happened?
We had I shouldn't say a newcomer to the IFBB, but a newcomer to the winner's circle, George Brown. He walked away with first place. Anton Antipov, favorite coming into the show, ended up slipping to third. And we had Chase Savoy, my pick for the win, in second place. He looked fantastic. So a little bit of a surprise there with George Brown being in first place, but it was a deserving victory for him.
Was there a surprise in that women's physique category? Because the women's physique was stacked as well. It's like, I am really surprised at the depth of these shows.
Yeah, the women's physique category, when you looked at the list of people, Ayana Carroll won in Orlando last weekend, Tammy Marie, always a top 10 girl in the Olympia. They came out, looked really good, but Michelle Cummings, somebody I'm not familiar with, actually from New York, got put in the center for prejudging.
Yeah, I saw her coming.
Stayed there the entire time. They gave her the win. Very deserving.
Well, I got to tell you, Dave, this is my first time actually here in Teaneck for the New York Pro Championship. It's kind of like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Right. But I got to tell you, this venue was first class. This is the Marriott. It's all in-house. The athletes just came down the elevator into the room. So this was actually a nice setup.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit, with a lot of guys on the boards, like, it's the New York Pro in New Jersey. Being from the Midwest, I wasn't familiar with how close everything is. I mean, you can look out the window and see, the Empire State Building and stuff. So we're literally right next to New York City.
And Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, I know some of the guys on the boards were talking, hey, it's not this big auditorium that maybe it was when it's the Night of Champions. Right. And, in pictures, it might not look like that, but I'll tell you what, if you've competed, if you've been on stage before, you know how nice it is to have the hotel connected to the venue. Yeah. They have 2 restaurants in here. You can get room service. They have a special bodybuilders menu. If you forget some of your stuff, you don't got to go driving. It's back up the elevators to your hotel room. And as Guy Cisternino had talked about, getting to some of the venues in New York, you're dealing with New York traffic, you're dealing with parking, you're dealing with everything. We're a little bit outside the city, like I said, guys. It's a short drive over a bridge into New York City, but from a convenience standpoint, for the competitors, for the fans, for the media, for everybody, this place tops the Tribeca where we had it last year and in years past.
And if this contest is any reflection of what's coming to us next year, we'll be right back here 1 year from now, and that will have wrapped up the 51st anniversary of the Joe Weider Mr. Olympia, where Juan Diesel Morel will ultimately wind up after he goes through Brazil and the rubber match with Victor Martinez. For David Baye and all you mothers out there, happy Mother's Day from Muscular Development. For David Baye, I'm Shawn Ray, musculardevelopment.com.